Welcome to Your Case, Your Justice, Personal Injury with Empathy with Lowell Steiger.
Hello and welcome to Your Case, Your Justice, Personal Injury with Empathy with Lowell Steiger. Lowell is a dedicated Southern California attorney who has been fighting for injured clients since 1998. With a genuine passion for advocacy, he works tirelessly to secure justice and compensation for those in need. My name is Kevin Rosenquist. I am your host, and today's episode is What I've Learned After Years of Fighting for Justice, Personal Injury Law Insights. Lowell, welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are.
Just barely past morning.
Okay.
Let's get started. Can we talk about a time where you worked on a case that profoundly changed the way you approached personal injury law and maybe what lessons you learned?
Yeah, it was actually early on in my career. And I had this case with this really lovely lady who lived out of state. She was in an accident here in California. And I won't get too technical, but basically there were two insurance policies involved. She'd been pretty badly injured, but she'd ultimately healed. And we settled both cases. But when we settled the second one, with her approval, I couldn't get her to sign off on it. And she'd already moved back home out of state. And I would call her every few days and I'd say, what's going on? And I don't know. And she just would not move forward. I kept thinking about it. So I called her up one day and I said, I may be crazy here. I said, but I think that good, bad, or indifferent, every day you woke up and you had this case. And even though it was a bad memory, it was a constant in your life. I think that you maybe are not signing off because you just can't let go of this yet. And she said, you're right. And she started crying on the phone. And and then she said, I'm going to sign it and I'm going to put this behind me. And that's when I was early in the career. And that's when I realized just how emotional an injury can be for somebody and how it impacts so many aspects of their life and how you have to, it's not just settling the case or going to trial or whatever. It's really getting inside that person's mind and heart and trying to help them heal on that level as well. It was so impactful for me.
Was there a case that was particularly rewarding that you worked on where you saw a significant change in your client's life as a result of the legal process?
Yes. I had this other case. I always call it the case of the exploding wine bottle. And it was a really weird case. This guy he was a really great guy. He and his wife would have wine with dinner every night. Whatever, they had a bunch of wine. So one night he goes to open up the wine bottle and they had those corky corkscrews that you'd screw in and then you could pull it out.
Yeah.
You pump it in. There was air that went in. Well, when he pumped in the air, the wine bottle exploded in his hand. And I know it was, horrible, of course. And it ended up severing a flexor tendon in his finger on his left hand. And he was right-handed, so he ended up losing the use of that finger permanently. And he was a young guy, he's in his 40s. But the thing was, he was both a woodworker by hobby and a writer by his professionally. Professionally, he was a writer. So it really impeded his ability to write. It wasn't like now where you can, dictate into a Word or whatever. In those days, you actually had to type everything. And then also he had to stop woodworking because he was afraid, because of his finger, that when he was using a buzzsaw, that he might accidentally chop off his finger. Yeah. So it really changed his life a lot. I mean, it didn't sound like much at the time, if he didn't have those two things going on. So anyhow, we ended up resolving the case, and it was a big battle. I mean, this thing went on for quite some time. So I had to sue a lot of different entities. What ended up happening was he was able to get enough money from the settlement that he and his wife could buy a house. So I would say that really changed his life because I
would say so too. Yeah,
yeah.
Bad night, but came away with it with a house. That's not so bad.
Yeah, and we ended up remaining friends for the rest. He ended up passing away, but at some point, sadly. But we ended up becoming friends and remaining friends. So
how did he open wine from there after that point?
I guess his wife did it for him. I never asked him, but maybe it could be two things. One, they could go out for dinner now all the time, or two, they just buy the boxed wine.
Yeah, there you go. Just buy the boxed wine. Maybe just an old-fashioned corkscrew is the way to go, not with the fancy contraptions.
I think you're probably right, yeah.
Could you tell us about a case where you had to get particularly creative with your legal strategy in order to win?
There was this case where these two brothers, I think they were fraternal twins, but they were kind of joined at the hip. They were really, really close brothers. and they were getting a car repaired at a car repair shop. And apparently the owner of the place had an issue with them. Something happened, and he became abusive to both of them. He got physical with both and hurt them. They both were injured pretty badly. But when you have an intentional act, and that would be an intentional act, insurance does not cover that. You'd have to go after somebody personally, and this guy didn't. The assailant didn't really have any money. So what I did is I filed a lawsuit, and I alleged something called negligent infliction of emotional distress, which is when somebody, if you see your spouse or brother or parent or something being injured, and you appreciate at that moment that they're being injured, then you have a case as the witness for what's called negligent infliction of emotional distress in California. I don't know in other states, but in California. And so what I did is I alleged that each of them witnessed the other one being injured. And so that's how I was able to get their insurance, the other guy's insurance company, to pay for their injuries.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was kind of going in through the back door.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Not for the guys, but it was fun to, be creative that way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Have you ever had a case where you felt like it seemed kind of hopeless at first, but, persistence, new evidence, you were able to get things turned around? I
had a case where this young man, I think he was 15 or 16 at the time. And he was a big guy. He was really big. Even at 15, he was enormous. Like football player, kind of enormous and tall and nice. And he was a really nice kid. Anyway, but he was a kid, and he jaywalked across a big street, and somebody hit him and really injured. He almost lost his foot. It was a really, really bad injury. And the insurance company for the guy that hit him, they denied the claim. And we went through the police report.
Because he jaywalked?
Because he was jaywalking.
Yeah.
And we went through the police report over and over and over again. And finally, somewhere in the police report, it was like a half a sentence in there, basically, where the guy that hit him said, I didn't see him until I looked up. Like he was driving, he was not paying attention on the road. Saw that, we changed our strategy. We really focused on that one little piece in the police report. And then one day I got a call from the insurance company for the guy. And the guy from the insurance company was from New York, and he was such a nice guy, I remember. He said, look, and he was real gruff. He goes, your guy shouldn't have been jaywalking, and my guy should have been looking where he was going. So we want to get this case settled. And they paid a lot. It was a huge, huge settlement. And it was all for that one little tiny piece in the police report. If we hadn't found that, it would have been nothing.
Wow. So it just was him admitting that he hadn't been paying attention.
Yeah, it was
basically
right
in a very small way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Good work. Good detective work there, Lowell.
Good detective work. Yeah, it was interesting. It was really, and the kid's mother stayed friends with me for years. I mean, and this is a long time ago. Always sent me Christmas cards, and it was very nice. It was very nice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, your kind of approach is about human connection and empathy. We've talked about that, and that personal injury is more than just legal expertise. Can you share a story when the empathy really made a difference in their case or recovery?
There was a fellow. There were two cases with the same guy, years apart. And the first case, he was rear-ended, and it was almost an imperceptible damage to his car. Like really nothing. He kept complaining to me about his neck, and I kept saying he would go to the doctor. He was pretty vigilant about his own health. And it turned out that, and I kept thinking in the beginning, it was so minor. How could anybody be hurt? But I kept listening to him, and I kept listening to the pain that he was going through. He kept having numbness down one arm, which is usually connected to the neck. And we would talk about it, and it ended up where because of the way his car was positioned, and it was at a curve. I'm sorry, to the right, and he was looking toward the left. So when he got hit, he was in such a weird physical position that he got a weird tweak in his neck. Ended up having to have a 2-level surgery in his neck and have discs removed and replaced and a fusion and all of that. And because of what he went through after that, I would talk to him almost every day after his surgery, and I was really involved in his recovery. And because of that, I was really able to argue his case with the attorney on the other side. They ended up compensating him a lot. It was mostly because I kind of got into his mindset and his physical feelings. I didn't feel the feel, but I could feel the feelings that he was telling me about. I experienced on my own mentally anyway, not physically. And I was able to relay that to the other side and really help him out. And then what happened years later is he sat down on a chaise lounge in a swimming pool, and the thing collapsed because it was rotten, and he didn't know it, and he went right to the ground. That dislodged the work that had been done in his neck several years ago.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, from the first accident. He had to have major surgery there. Major. And then on that one, we went to and I filed a lawsuit, and then we went to a mediation to settle it, and they offered him a lot of money, and I knew what he had gone through, and I wouldn't let him accept it. And he wanted to accept it, and I wouldn't, which, really I should have let him accept it. But I kept saying, no, you better don't, because I wanted to make sure that he was completely healed before I would allow him to do it. And it was our connection that from the first accident that made it where he would, where he trusted me enough.
He trusted you, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to just say, because he was turning down a lot of money. But I said, there's more, but we need to wait. If we wait, if you just believe what I'm telling you, if we wait, you'll do better. And that's what happened.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe that, of all things, a stupid broken chaise lounge. Oh. You know what I mean? Like if he had been playing football or, doing something like, I don't know, anything, water skiing, whatever, like something can happen. But just laying on a chaise lounge, that's crazy.
Yeah. And the thing was, he's such a nice guy and it's really engaging. So like we never had like a 2-minute conversation. It was always like these just great conversations. Mm-hmm. So all of that ended up, it became like a professional relationship. It was still always a professional relationship, but that connection in there that really, really helped move his case along.
Looking back on your career, is there a specific case or client that stands out as sort of a turning point for you professionally?
Yeah. It was a little boy. I think he was 4 years old, and he was with his parents at like a restaurant, whatever it was. He's like 4, so his dad gives him a quarter, and he goes over to turn this vending machine that gives him tattoos, little fake tattoos.
Oh yeah, my son loves those.
And they're so cute, on the little kids, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he goes and he does that, and the thing was not screwed on. The heavy part, that dispenses everything, was not screwed on properly. And when he twisted the knob, the whole contraption collapsed, fell over and hit him in the head and broke his jaw.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he had to have his mouth wired shut like a little 4-year-old. He was such a cute little kid. He had to have his whole mouth wired shut for like 6 weeks. And he couldn't eat, obviously, and he could only drink through a straw. And when he would see his sister eating and all he could drink was like, at least he could drink milkshakes, which is good for a little kid, but
absolutely. Yeah. For a while anyway.
For a while. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would see his sister eating, he would cry, and it was so heartbreaking. And he was, and it was such a lovely family. And anyway, so we go to mediation on this case. They offered like some ridiculously low amount of money because the guy says, well, the defense lawyer said, well, his jaw healed. He's fine. So what's the big thing? I remember, and I hope that the people watching this don't think that I would ever actually do something like this. But I remember I said to the mediator, I said, go tell the defense lawyer that if he would like, maybe we can go and break his jaw and see how he would like to have that for 6 weeks and say, okay, it's healed now.
It's healed now, so you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine now. I said, this little boy suffered so much.
Yeah, that's hard.
And I don't have kids. But it really opened my eyes to how you can I didn't know the kid, but how much you can really love a kid, and how devastating it is for a parent to see their child suffer. It was really something. And it kind of changed the way I handled cases with kids. I didn't just look at them as the same I would look at them with a parent. As an adult.
As an adult,
I handle those cases differently now.
Yeah.
Because, your heart breaks for a little kid,
Oh my God. I mean, I have a 4-year-old and when he does something, he hurts himself, when he legit hurts himself, I mean, it's gut wrenching, I mean, and I'm saying like, I'm not talking about breaking a jaw. I'm just saying like he falls down and gets a boo-boo, but if it's legit boo-boo, you feel bad for him, I can't even imagine what that family went through. Although I'm not going to lie, like if he couldn't talk for 6 weeks, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding.
I don't want any angry comments on this video. Well, those are some great stories, Lowell. You're obviously a very passionate attorney, and your empathetic approach, I think, is really refreshing.
So thank you. Yeah. That's why I love what I do, because you can earn a living doing a million different things in life. There's always opportunities, but for me, if I can do something that makes somebody happy or makes a significant change in their life, that to me is like the best reward. So,
yeah. I can imagine. Well, thank you for tuning in to Your Case, Your Justice, Personal Injury with Empathy with Lowell Steiger. To connect with Lowell, head to steigerlaw.com, and please like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review if you can. Lowell, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much for the stories.
Thanks, Kevin. It was great chatting with you too, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
You and your family and your little 4-year-old boy.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.